Hello everyone and welcome to Avantika Designeering series or ADS as we like to call it. Every week on Wednesday, we feature design and technology leaders who share their professional journey, their thoughts on their domain of work, and designeering where the world of design and engineering meet. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook and Twitter. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Digital transformation has been taking place for several years. However, the moment of digital design does not lie in the future. It is already here. An elegant digital design is not a product of great imagination or a result of an idea. Rather, it is a product of carefully plotted design elements chosen to create a visual representation of the idea and the imagination. It is not about the picture placed together and arranged in a way that creates a story. It is about creating a harmony among the elements and having them come together in a final product that is outstanding. In this episode, we interact with Revathi Kant, Chief Design Officer at Titan Company Limited. She will share her journey of working with Titan with her professional experience of nurturing the growth of a company. She will also share with us the different factors that lead to development in the bigger picture. So let's get into a conversation with her on the mantra of great design to discover designeering from the industry perspective. Hello, Revati. Welcome to Avantika Designeering Series podcast. Thank you so much for honoring us with your time and record this show for our listeners.
Thank you, Rohit. The pleasure is all mine. I really look forward to this session.
Same here. So, Revati, what intrigues me about you is you are the most sought after design leader in the world of design in India, but you're not trained designer. So, how did you achieve this? How did you land up being where you are?
Rohit, thanks for the compliment first. The way I look at design, I feel design is much greater than the act of designing. So I think I am a design thinker, a design strategist, and a design evangelist. And I believe that my role is really to bridge the world of design with the world of business. And to really achieve this, one needs to be familiar with both sides pretty well. One needs to understand both sides pretty well, and the nuances of design, creativity, aesthetics, form, function is very, very critical. At the same time, understanding consumers, manufacturing constraints, time to market, pricing, margin, etc., all that are equally important. So I believe a good understanding of both and a good hands-on working on both sides, it has really helped me. So, though I'm not a trained designer, I feel that I am in a position to contribute to this field of design significantly. And well, it's been my experience and my journey, which has kind of helped me hone those skills, I must say.
Wow, super. So usually people switch companies very fast, whereas you've been with Titan nearly majority part of your career. How has that happened? How has it been working with Titan in different roles and responsibilities? Can you take us through your professional journey?
Yeah, I've had a fabulous journey at Titan. I've spent a lot of years here, almost 30 years in this company. Straight after my college, I came to Titan to do my, the final semester project like everybody does. And then I kind of got an opportunity to join this company. I must say it's truly a unique place, and this company gives you the opportunity, to have you to express yourself in the best possible manner. There is enough freedom, lots of opportunities to grow yourself, grow with the company, and that's what I have done. Fortunately for me, when I joined the company, I, of course, joined in market research. And after a couple of years, say just about 2 years or so, I got an opportunity to move to marketing. And I was posted out of India, looking at West Asia and Africa, based out of Dubai. And it was a journey of 10 years in that particular role. And it was the best learning experience in my career, I must say. Completely new geography, new set of consumers, new sets of challenges. And that exposed me to the world at large of all the international brands. And, I would say that was one very, very important phase in my career when we wanted to come back to India, and I was wanting to definitely do something different from what I had done earlier. And I was always passionate about product and how we can take the product in the best possible manner to the consumers. And in my previous part of my career, I had enough experience of dealing with consumers, market, and understanding. And when I got this opportunity to look at design, first I was a little skeptical because I had never done design prior to that. Design as in design, but of course I was always handling products. I said, no, this looks something very interesting. Let me give it a try. That's how I moved back to India in 2005 and took on the role of heading the design for the watches business. And it was fabulous. I never, realized that I could connect with design so well. I would be able to add value to this by bringing, the two worlds I was talking about earlier, and that's what happened. And it was extremely satisfying for me. And I then decided to choose this as my career path. And when a larger opportunity opened out in the company for heading the jewelry in the jewelry division, the function of design, innovation, and new product development, I kind of took it. And it was again another fabulous journey of about 7, 8 years, because jewelry is a completely different category. But the principles of design, of course, are similar, and gave me the opportunity to kind of really transform that business and transform the way we look at design in that business. So, post that, we realized that as a company, when design is such an integral and a strategic part of business, we must build a center of excellence. And that's how I am here and doing what I'm doing today. So, we have put together all the design from all the businesses under one head and created a vertical called Design Excellence Center, which I head today as the chief design officer of the company. And it is fabulous because we look at design for multi categories. We have people from multiple disciplines, different kind of designers working together in a buzzing creative space. And well, that's how it happened. It was not planned, but it somewhere kind of took this shape, and I'm very happy to where it has led me to and what I have learned in this journey. So it's been fantastic, and it give me the view of the entire company, because one is working with all the business. Given the position, it gives me the access to the topmost leadership and in the decision making of the company. So really, my dream was always to take design to the highest level, give voice to design and to designers, because design really deserves that place. And when you look at a complex corporate structure, to bring design to that highest level has been a challenge, and that's been my journey for the last 15 years. So yeah, that's how it's been, and it's been fabulous.
Wow, super. I'm sure it's very exciting and fulfilling, because I'm sure that if you've stuck around to an organization for such a long time, it inspires you. It's something that adds value to you as well, as much as the value that you add to the organization. So, moving to my next question, Revati, understanding the soul of a project is the foundation upon which a complete design solution is built. What I wish to know is, how does the design process work at Titan, and has it changed in these challenging times?
I think, Rohit, it's a very, very important question, because when we all talk about design, we generally don't talk about what sets this, design to really succeed. And I strongly believe that there has to be a robust design process which is constantly at work. And fortunately for us, we have worked on it, and we have a good design process at Titan, which helps us to consistently deliver great results. So let me explain the very briefly the kind of process we have. So our process starts with an in-depth understanding of the consumer, Parallelly, we bring in the mega trends, macro trends, micro trends, which impact all of us. That is another key information area which we are constantly looking at. And we follow a 3I process of design, which is, immersion, inspiration, and implementation. That's how we call it. And the most important thing is we look for inspirations which are most suitable for our user for that particular category. And we really deep dive into it and come up with what we call as deep design stories. So, our process of immersion in that particular subject of whatever we are inspired with helps us to come up with some very authentic, interpretations of that inspiration. So, which is what we take it forward as our concepts. And of course, then once we have the concepts which are truly based on the inspiration, but at the same time relevant to the business and the category, which takes into account the consumer understanding and mega trends, we have the concepts which are ready to be refined further. And then we, of course, apply the business constraints to it, and then they are taken forward. So when we follow this kind of a process, which is pretty holistic and has a 360-degree view to it, looking at the end user as a key stakeholder, we tend to come up with more hits than misses, I would say. So once we follow this process, it helps us achieve designs which, when launched in the market, give us very good, sell through, give us good business, and hence we make it successful. So I'm, as you said, the design process is really the backbone of this entire thing, and it's important to have that. Otherwise, it could be very ad hoc and very random and may not lead to a certain kind of result. Now, coming to the second part of your question, yes, of course, this pandemic has taught all of us different lessons, and things do undergo a change. And as I speak, this is also a very evolving process, because there are various interventions which help, which kind of makes us think again, and bring in the best practices. So it's quite a dynamic process. But having said that, the most important change, I would say, is at this point in time, is to embrace digital technology. And digital has influenced all of us in a big way. It has influenced our way of working, right from the immersion piece I was talking about, which used to be really physical. And I would not want to substitute physical with digital, because when you immerse yourself physically, especially the designers, when they immerse themselves physically into a particular experience, they are able to come up with the right kind of interpretation. I very strongly believe in that process. But today it is not possible, and hence that also becomes, the world of internet gives us enough information and helps us do in the immersion part of it, digitally, a whole lot of things, everything, immersion, concept creation, sharing, even giving that further for development, all of that has been digitized. And I think that is a big fundamental change which we have experienced at this point. So that's really in brief the process we strictly follow.
Hey, did you know the new Titan office in Bangalore, which looks like a floating island or a cruise ship, has been built with inputs from the employees? Nature loving, the campus looks like a jeweled emerald island or a brightly lit ship surrounded by water. Its open air, asymmetric campus consists of three low rises stone clad buildings. Wow, that's really interesting. In fact, while you were sharing this process, one of the other things that struck me was Titan has so many brands in its portfolio, and each of those brands have a very different personality. For example, Raga is associated with sensuality, Fastrack is bold and aggressive. The question that I have is, as a leader, while managing all these brands and its teams, how do you manage to change the gears in design thinking through all of these dynamic personalities?
You're right. You're absolutely right. It can be very difficult at times. It can be difficult, especially more than shifting brands. For me, in my mind, shifting categories could get complex. There are days when I start with watches, then they move on to jewelry, then to eyewear, then to accessories. And within them, we have different brands with totally different personalities. So it is quite, I think, a lot of mental work, so to say. See, what I'm trying to do is the only way I am able to manage is really shut off one and put my complete focus onto the next. So when I am doing a particular thing, I'm 100% present in that particular thing. So that, when I'm, let's say, I'm onto fast track, I'm so focused onto fast track that the whole brand personality, the whole consumer, and the design language comes alive in my head. So I'm able to focus on fast track. When I shift gears and, let's say, when I move to Tanish, I immerse myself in the world of Tanish, which brings me alive the whole aspects of brand Tanish, its personality, its design language, all of it. But it is a mental exercise, frankly, and it was difficult for me, and I have kind of achieved a balance through practice. I must confess, that's how it is, because they are different, and they hit you at different points in time, and every day is a different day. But it's, I think, I guess I have made this, I don't know whether this is the best way to do it, but this is how I do it, with focus 100% on whatever you're doing at this point in time. Gives me a complete focus on that particular brand or
I'm sure in the starting days, all of this would have been a challenge, but over a period of time, you would have definitely mastered in terms of juggling between all of these different
account.
personalities.
Yes.
So, Revati, Steve Jobs famously said, most people make the mistake of thinking design is what it looks like. People think it's this veneer that the designers are handed this box and told, make it look good. That's not what we think the design is. It's just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. My question is, what is driving force behind design thinking as such?
See, what Steve Jobs said is absolutely right, and it's unfortunate that people associate design with something which looks good, which is so superficial. It's just like a facade, which is so wrong. And I have understood this, and I actually evangelize it. And whenever I get a chance, I talk about it. Say that, come on. To me, design is a solution provider. Period. Design comes up with solutions which are just not available or accessible to you very easily. And why is design important? Today, design is important because it helps companies to stay relevant during times like these, times like unprecedented changes. And design is definitely not superficial. It's very much integral to the existence of that particular product or that particular service. We talk about the form, we talk about the function, and it is not just about making, and it's been like that for a while, that people think if something looks good, you say, oh, it's a beautiful design. But when it functions beautifully, when it gives you all the comfort, when it makes you happy, that is also design. So, I mean, there are such fundamental principles of good design, and good design, when you were to consider, it is not at all superficial, it is very much integral. So, where I think, the whole design thinking actually is really a process which helps us to come up with optimal solution for any problem. So when I want to talk about design thinking, and in fact, design thinking is a word which has actually come about by looking at the way designers think. Very simply put, it is not the analytical way of thinking, whereas it is about how designers think, completely diverge, look all around, come up with all kinds of imaginations, ideas, put it together. Look at without any barriers, without any boundaries. Then you converge. Then you converge and pick whatever you think is the best possible solution. So design thinking fundamentally works on this principle of first diverge and converge. And when you do that, you come up with a solution to a problem. It could be any kind of a problem. The second fundamental thing about design thinking is it talks about keep the user at the center. You whom are you designing for is very, very important. Once you have the user at the center, you create something, you go back to the user, check it out, you iterate, you refine, and you then come back to it. And it's a cycle which keeps going on and on and on. So design thinking actually has, I would say, a terminology which arrived from the way how designers think, and it is a very fundamental way of solving the most complex problems which we are facing in the world today. And I strongly believe that design thinking is a very powerful tool which should be used not by designers. Designers by nature think that way. but it is for finding solutions to the most complex problems in the world. When we use this kind of a methodology, it helps us. And hence, I would say the role of design is, if it could is to solve consumer problems, it could be to solve any big problem. And hence, and in the journey, in the process, design makes it look good, design makes it function great, design makes it very comfortable, and those are all the things which comes along with design. So I would really like to scrap this notion that something looks beautiful, it is designed well. It is not. It is way beyond, and it's a way beyond and far more powerful than what generally people think. What
Wow, that's beautifully expressed and very interesting thought process. In fact, Revati, in one of your interviews, you mentioned the future of design looks very optimistic and very promising because if we are talking about making India Aatmanirbhar and a sustainable manufacturing hub, then design plays a vital role in helping manufacturers achieve this. My question is, what is the roadblock that we have in terms of accomplishing this?
Yeah, I recently said this, and you're very right. And I very strongly believe in this, and I'm very much for this whole initiative of Atmanirbhar Bharat, because I think it's high time we really took this in our hands and made it happen. And I'm also saying that this is really the best opportunity for the design fraternity to really unleash themselves and make a difference in India. When you talk of impediment, or what is the roadblocks, what I'm thinking is, the fundamental issue I feel is we all work in silos. So we need, the fundamental thing here is the need to collaborate better. And we must build strong ecosystems for each sector, where, when I talk about, let's take any particular sector, and then we need to have, every component required for the sector has to be designed and manufactured in the country. So basically the ecosystem should be such that it is interdependent, at the same time self-sufficient. So when we are able to build this, let's say for every sector, then where is the need to go anywhere? Today the problem is we don't work cohesively, and we are all doing our own thing. So if you're manufacturing a car, for example, so you have a great factory to manufacture car of certain parts of the car, but and putting it together. But the components, are we able to get all the components within the country? So if the ecosystem was to be built wherein everything comes, so and that's how China really operates today. They have a brilliant ecosystem. So I feel that is a very important thing which India needs to work on, to build a strong ecosystem. And to this ecosystem, I'm talking about design is going to play a very, very critical role. So if you're talking about manufacture in India, it has to be preceded by design in India. So to me, design in India and manufacture in India really go hand in hand to create products which are truly world class, and which we can say that India has really arrived there. So it is really a great opportunity. And once we have that capability, if we are able to build the brand, and we are able to market ourselves, then I believe there is no stopping us. It is, I think, the fundamental thing is to collaborate between key disciplines and make sure that, small, medium, large, all sectors come together and really scale up. See, Titan has been, I would say, Atmanirbhar Bharat is a clarion call today, but Titan has been doing it for the last 30 years. Why Titan? Tata's, Godrej, Asian Paints, Mahindra. I could name so many Indian companies who are doing it. But today, the important thing is to get so many more in the MSME sector, so many more companies, industries to come up in all sectors and make it really big. Scale it up in such a way that we become totally independent and self sufficient and truly, truly Atmanirbhar. And design is really at the center of all this, and a great, great opportunity for us, the design fraternity, to make this fundamental shift in.
Did you know the Titan Innovation Hub at IIT Madras Research Park, Chennai enables Titan to leverage the specialized expertise of the faculty and students to utilize their facilities, labs in creating a collaborative environment between industry and academia through joint research projects and consulting assignments, and in creating a self sustaining, technologically fertile environment. Absolutely, well said. In fact, in our entire perspective of teaching young minds to take up design as a career option, the activities that we are doing through this podcast show and various other initiatives is to bring across stories of leaders like you and inspire individuals to look at design seriously and as a part of the process or the activity that they are doing. Absolutely well said. So, Revati, taking its roots from human computer interaction, today the service design family stands to be the most significant single design discipline on the globe. My question is, what are the seismic shifts that are going to happen in the digital design industry, and how this change will move the focus on consumers and creators?
You know, the digital design industry today is truly driven by the latest development which is happening in the field of technology. And it is so dynamic, it is so fast. The technology is, every day there is something new happening. So there is a lot of excitement, and the digital design industry is constantly impacted by these developments. So if we were to talk of some of the seismic shifts, so to say, are, the first one which comes to mind is really augmented reality and virtual reality. They have become common words for many of us. These two are very big transitions which are definitely impacting all our lives. And if we are today, the pandemic has actually, I would say, accelerated this whole process of adoption. Earlier we were not embracing technology so easily, and today everybody, all of us, are kind of forced to, in some manner or the other, take on to it. So, and that is really a good thing, which is accelerating the whole part of adoption and seeing it in our own lives. So, for example, live streaming, and is a really big piece in retail today, and everything is about live streaming because people are not able to physically visit. Live streaming is becoming so important. The other thing I'm seeing as today, it is getting bigger. It has not reached the highest decibel levels, but it's getting bigger. Is this whole piece on the conversational commerce? Everything is being led by voice. So we are still, I mean, as we speak, we are still in the journey of texting, but this is going to be completely replaced by voice, and voice is going to be a very big shift in industry. And technologies like 5G and all of those, they are all being built to support this. So no longer are we going to pick up the phone and type something. Everything is going to be voice driven, and that's a very big shift. Today, all our systems and infrastructure is built on not on voice, and so that is a fundamental shift which will impact. So how do you design keeping voice in mind? Today the UI UX part of the visual design is in a certain way because it is still driven by touch. But when touch gets transformed to voice, it is going to unleash something really new, which especially the designers need to think about. So I would say that consumers, I mean, we are all consumers in some way or the other, and we are all creators. And consumers and creators both are being impacted in a very big way because of these fundamental shifts which are happening. And I would say that it is important for creators to quickly adapt to the technologies because, and this is the only way to cater to the consumers because the consumers are aspiring for those. They are getting to see that happening in some sector or the other. Once a consumer sees something happening, the consumer expectations automatically rises. And if somebody else is not keeping up to it, then it looks like, yeah, you're not progressive enough. And hence this is going, it's going to be very important. And this play, I would say, is a very dynamic one. So whatever I have said is near term. I really don't know. In long term, it could be something else sitting there which is in the making, which is going to come and impact all of us. So the most critical thing is to be vigilant, to be always watchful, to be looking at the trends, looking at weak signals, amplifying them at the right place, adapting them quickly to be abreast of this technology is what I would think would be very critical.
Absolutely. In fact, taking a cue from this opinion, when it comes to building great products, design is absolutely an essential feature. In fact, we've moved into the stage where product design sets companies apart and gives a real edge over competitors. So absolutely, well said. In fact, Revati, my next question is, what are the main principles and approaches that will help to design great products?
Yeah, so I think I touched upon it earlier, but I would say this is what we follow, and I am very sure that it kind of helps. Is actually it's like a triangle. To me, it is the and one edge of the triangle you have you need to have in-depth consumer understanding. Who is the consumer for whom we are creating? Because today there are multiple consumer segments, each consumer behaving differently in different scenarios, different occasions, different mindsets. So it's very critical to be sure that who is the consumer, what are the consumer needs and aspirations, deep dive, have a very clear consumer persona in mind to begin with. So in-depth consumer understanding before you touch your pen to the paper, they need to know this. So these are very very basic and fundamental. First is that. The second is because all of us are constantly impacted by trends, in mega trends, macro trends, micro trends. So we're all influenced. And today, in the world we live in, there is no, it's not like trends are set in Italy or trends are set in the US. No, anything which is set anywhere is in your hand, in your phone, in the next minute. So people are constantly upgrading themselves, constantly looking at trends, and trends are influencing all of us. So we can't be not be looking at trends. So in before designing, I think understanding these trends and the implications of those trends to your geography, to your category, to your business becomes very very important. So that is another important piece. And the third piece, as I said, is of course, if you're going to be authentic, if you want to be very different and unique from what anybody else has been, then it should be an honest journey of deep dive and finding out. World is full of inspirations. Everywhere there are inspiration, but taking on a great inspiration and interpreting them. That's where the skill sets count. How do you interpret a great inspiration? So to me, this the mantra for creating great products is really a combination of in-depth consumer understanding, understanding the trends, and of course having a great inspiration and, and transforming or translating that to create great products, which is of course backed by a robust design process. This is a very very simple mantra to create great designs consistently.
Hey, do you know Raga by Titan has launched Proud to Be Me digital campaign that celebrates the spirit of self-expression and inclusivity in the society. Through this campaign, the brand talks about nurturing your relationship with yourself and embracing who you really are. In fact, Revti, when you touch upon the mantra part of it, what I can't skip from my mind is the entire focus on brand communication, which is absolutely at the core of a great design as well as a great product. In fact, effective brand communication design services determine the overall success of any brand. The question that I have is, what qualities should communication designers possess to perform creatively and effectively in addressing the complex visual construct challenges of today?
It's actually a very important and a related question, and and it is indeed a complex world today, and we are bombarded by so much of information that the attention span today is very very minimal. I mean, what we can absorb and what we can retain. So the task of communication designers becomes all the more challenging. So I would think that communication designers the first fundamental thing which is whom are they creating it for? First of all, who is for whom? Because there are all kinds of people. So which is the consumer segment I am targeting? What is the task and what am I creating? Whom am I creating it for? The first question. The second, what is the purpose of this communication? So what are we going to achieve through this communication? So once you have answers to that question, it is that the important thing is, we, as you also rightly said, we live in a very complex world. So the most important thing here is simplicity. So simplicity truly matters. I mean, to create a communication where the message can be understood by maximum number of people with minimum effort is really the measure of success of a communication designer. And I'm saying it very simply, but this is the most difficult task to achieve. When you have a message, you got to simplify it and reach it out to maximum number of people, and is really the most critical challenge faced by the communication designers. And that's something they must always strive for, because that's the balance they need to achieve, to reach out and simplify. To me, many a times when we look at a certain brand communication, it looks great on visual effects and graphics and all of it, but it in the end, you would say, okay, so what you don't even remember the brand name, or you don't even remember what impacted you, but it was a beautiful visual. But that is not really the purpose of the communication. When a brand is communicating, it has got a core message which needs to seamlessly go across and touch the audience, and there has to be a wow factor. Unless you achieve, that is the finesse in communication, which needs to be learned, achieved, and which needs to be practiced. So that is really the creative challenge, and I think simplifying matters at a certain level, and then of course creatively building it is really the task, I would say. And that's something which every communication designer must work hard.
Absolutely, well said. And in fact, while you were talking about all sorts of the interconnected aspect, one of the other questions that come to my mind is many designers think intersectionality is a better way of looking at all of the factors that can influence the use of your product and service. What do you think about this, and how do you think intersectionality influence design and strategy at work?
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in intersections, I must say. And to me, intersection brings innovation. So if you want to come up with some kind of a disruption, I would say look at intersection. So it is real. It's actually the space, which can bring opposites together, two conflicting ideas together, and it is really the joining of the dots, that you find newer ideas and newer solutions. So when two conflicting things come together, then you start thinking, how do I make it work? And that is in the thinking, in the joining the dots, is where that whole innovation is sitting. And I feel it is important in every sector. If you look at intersections, will always give you newer ideas. If you were to look at it otherwise, okay, this is the consumer, this is the journey, and this is how I'm working at it, it will take you in a certain direction. But bring two different things and try to find the point of intersection. It gives you ideas which are truly unique, which has it's actually a breeding ground for innovation. So I would think looking at intersection is a very very core part of creating, of the design strategy. And in when we talk of, let's say, launching something, creating something specific for a certain target group. So, when we look at consumer segments, so there are the people at the periphery who are really the trendsetters, who are the first movers. So, understanding them many a times rather than understanding the core would give you great ideas as to how you need to do these things, which would give you a unique differentiator. Of course, then you can adapt it and make it more suitable for the masses. But looking at the periphery, looking at intersections between two conflicting things is really a critical area which can give some brilliant thoughts or new ideas from an innovation point.
Absolutely. And when we speak about this intersectionality, the one area that we cannot escape is technology, which is playing an absolutely vital role in working of design. The art of collaboration is where they're truly innovating. My question to you is, how is technology influencing the world of design?
Yeah, I think technology is really influencing everything around the world, influencing all of us. And when we come especially to design, I think today the world is moving towards a space where it is the convergence of design and technology, which is really a very, very big dominating trend in the market. So it is the two coming together and converging at a point which makes a difference. So the whole digitization is playing a key role in various facets of design and design process. I mean, which I spoke about even in our own way of working, how digitization has kind of influenced the way we work. Digitization is one piece which has got a very, very strong influence. And today, as technology become more pervasive, now consumers are asking for better experiences across the value chain. So again, this is what builds consumer aspirations, and it is, imperative for us, for designers, for design communities, to accept this change, and we need to use technology to amplify our ability to design. So if design says, yeah, technology is a different discipline, I am a different discipline, and let me do what I'm doing traditionally, whereas technology is moving at a faster pace, there would be a total disconnect. So the field of design has to move parallel, in fact, to, or it needs to have a convergence at various points in time with technology to remain relevant, to be cutting edge, and all of that. So designers today have this dual task of keeping themselves abreast with what's happening, what's latest in technology. So if I want to talk about, for example, technology like 3D printing, I mean, it is the latest technology, manufacturing technology available today, and this is certainly changing the way we design, because 3D printing has done various things. It has cut off our entire, let's say, the whole cycle of product development, and the kind of designing which is required for a 3D printed product is also different. So technology coming up, embracing that, understanding them, and keeping one ahead is very, very critical from for the designers today. And the other thing I would feel today is artificial intelligence. AI is playing a very, very critical role in product design. It is still not fully successful because AI takes some time to learn, but there is so much work happening around the world wherein we can, where AI can actually help us in making better decision making. Or I'm not saying AI will ever replace a designer, because design is original, design is created, but AI can actually help us save a lot of time, do things quickly. AI can give us opportunity to possibly look at a perspective which a human mind has missed. So there is a lot of research happening in this space, and to keep oneself abreast in these technology and embrace the technology, it is very, very critical. So ultimately, all this technology as they come, they get democratized. So what will stand out then is design. So, hence, convergence of design and technology is critical. And as we move along, design will remain the true differentiator when technology is truly, totally democratized. That's my thinking on this.
Super, Revti. And that brings me to my last question. At Avantika University, we are neither training in design, neither in engineering. We call it designeering. What's your opinion on our philosophy? Do you think it makes sense to train the next breed of talent with this philosophy?
Yeah, I think Rohit, Avantika University is doing a great job. I think I must first congratulate Avantika University for pioneering this. Designeering, when we spoke the other day, I said designeering is such a great concept because we have the best of both worlds, design and engineering. And when we talk of product design, both these disciplines are very, very closely related. Designers must understand engineering, of course, aspects, I mean, not the entire engineering, but the engineering aspects of what they are creating. And engineers must appreciate the form factor and all of that which the design brings in. And I think it's truly the need of the hour, because we are also talking about design and engineering coming together for creating a world class manufacturing and making our country Atmanirbhar. And when we are talking about this kind of a concept, I think this whole collaboration is so important, what we touched upon earlier. And you, at an education level, as an institute, are aiding students to acquire this kind of what I would say, knowledge, and which can be implemented tomorrow. So I think it's truly brilliant. Designeering is really a great concept, and I think it's a way to go. It helps. It really helps in real life application. So fabulous thought process. I mean, and great job for pioneering this for India. I think Avantika University and all of you, you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Revti, for sharing your opinion. And it was a wonderful experience recording the show with you. I'm sure there's a lot for our listeners to learn from your experience, your opinions. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Rohit, and I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It was indeed very, very interesting. Thank you so much for having on the show. Thanks.
Hey there, we hope you enjoyed our show. Do write to us on ads@avantika.edu.in. We look forward to your opinions, feedbacks, and suggestions of speakers you would like us to host on this show. Do tune in our channel next week on Wednesday for a new story on Hubhopper or wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.